I paid $35,000 to go on my family's trip to Europe. Yet at the terminal, my mom declared, "I left your ticket, go back home." They had secretly conspired to desert me all along. 3 weeks after, they returned and went white as they saw me standing beside a man. Because that man turned out to be the— What if the people who are supposed to love you the most see you as nothing more than a walking ATM and a glorified personal assistant? And what happens when you finally stare at your own plane ticket, only to find your name isn't on it? That's when I realized they weren't just taking me for granted, they were actively erasing me. And I had to ask myself, what the hell was I going to do next? My name's Alex. I'm 28, and for most of my life, I've been the designated fixer, the built-in driver, the all-purpose problem solver for my family. Never the golden child. That's my younger sister, Mia. Not the rebel. Just the background guy. The one who shows up early, hauls the heavy stuff, and somehow disappears from all the photos. I grew up in a house where being useful was always more important than being genuinely seen or loved. If a lamp broke, I fixed it. Flat tire? I changed it. Someone forgot a deadline. I pulled an all-nighter. My mom used to call it reliability. I thought it was a compliment. Now, all I hear is, "You're convenient." My dad, he's a quiet man, unless sports are on. He just nods and raises an eyebrow. My mom, she talks enough for both of them, sharp, fast, with this mental kitchen timer always running. Mia, though, Mia floats through life like a warm light. She has that smile that gets waiters to bring extra napkins and teachers to add extra credit. And no, I don't hate her, but I hate the double standards around her. If she's late, she's overwhelmed. If I'm late, I'm disrespectful. If she's broke, life's hard right now. If I'm careful with my money, I'm stingy. Then came the Europe trip. 2 months ago, during Sunday dinner, my mom clinked a spoon on a glass, her eyes absolutely sparkling. "Family announcement," she chirped. "We're going to Europe. 2 weeks. London, Paris, Rome." Mia shrieked with excitement. Dad smiled a practiced, dutiful smile. I just waited. Waited for her to say it was just an idea. But instead, she pulled a printed itinerary from a manila folder, like she'd been rehearsing this for months. "Alex," she said, sliding the pages towards me, "you'll love this. You're so organized. We need you on this." "On what?" I asked, my stomach already tightening. "Everything," she beamed. "You're so good with logistics." I looked at the list: flights, hotels, museum passes, trains, restaurant reservations. It felt less like a vacation, more like a project kickoff meeting. Sticky notes in her messy handwriting dotted the margins. "Refundable group discount? Ask Alex." Mia leaned over my shoulder, buzzing. "Oh, we have to do afternoon tea in London. And those viral croissants in Paris. And a red dress photo on the Spanish Steps." "Sure," I said automatically. It's my default. What I say when I know I'm not allowed to say anything else. Mom tapped the table. "We'll handle the fun. You handle the boring stuff." She winked. "You're the only one who actually likes that." The room smelled of roasted chicken and lemons. My plate was still full. My phone buzzed twice in my pocket. "Europe trip," group chat started. Dad cleared his throat. "This will be good for us," he murmured. "We need a reset." I nodded, even though that word, reset, made my gut knot. Resets have rules. Resets mean starting over without fixing what broke you in the first place. Later, while I washed dishes, Mom stood beside me, drying. She didn't say thank you. She said, "Don't forget your passport, honey." "I won't," I replied. Then she lowered her voice. "And don't make this difficult." I turned off the water, staring at her. "Make what difficult? You know how you get," she said, waving a dismissive hand. "All particular." She smiled, like it wasn't an insult, just a fact. "Just be easy." That familiar heat rose behind my eyes. The one that comes when you're both angry and utterly exhausted. I swallowed it down. In the hallway, Mia called out, "Alex, can you drop me home?" "Sure," I said. Again, on the drive, she scrolled through Instagram reels, people clinking champagne in first class. "Imagine if we got upgrades," she sighed. "Mom deserves it. She works so hard." "So do I," I said before I could stop myself. Mia just smiled at her screen. "You like working." When I pulled up to her building, she paused, reaching for the door. "Hey," she said, softer this time. "Don't be weird about money this time, okay? It ruins the vibe." "I'm not weird about money," I stated. She gave me a look that said I was telling a joke she'd heard 1,000 times. Good night, big bro. I watched her go inside. The car felt suddenly too small, the air thick. That night, lying on my couch, I stared at the ceiling. I can do this, I told myself. It's just a trip. It's just logistics. Be useful, and it'll be fine. A week later, my Aunt Carol texted me a photo from a store. A designer suitcase Mia wanted. $749. Can you pick this up? Mom says we'll settle later. I stared at the screen until it blurred, then put my phone face down and went to make coffee. I burned my tongue. The first real trigger wasn't a bill or a demand, though. It was my mother's comment at brunch. I asked if we were all confirmed on the same flight. She smiled, not looking up from her mimosa. Don't worry, your little accountant brain, Alex. We'll make it work. And for some reason, that sentence stuck to me like wet cloth. We'll make it work. Translation, you will. I'd been making it work since I was 14. Dad lost overtime hours. I picked up a weekend job bagging groceries, loaned my parents $220 for the electric bill. No one ever paid me back. When Mia was 17 and crashed her car, I emptied my savings for the deductible. We'll settle later, Mom said. Later never came. If there's a family spreadsheet, it lives in my head. Numbers with feelings attached. $1,180 for Mia's textbooks. $460 for Mom's, just until Friday. $3,250 to get Dad's knee scanned at a clinic that didn't take their insurance because they waited too long. Every time I said yes, the story they told about me got thicker. Alex is generous. Alex will handle it. Alex understands. What I understood was that if I didn't, I'd be punished in 100 small ways. The silent treatment, snide comments, being forgotten for. Invites. The soft punishments are the worst. They make you think you chose them. So when Europe planning started, the machine kicked in, oiled and waiting. Mom called me on a Tuesday between meetings. Quick thing, she said. Booking flights is a nightmare. Can you just do it, and we'll settle you? How many tickets? I asked. 4, she said. And we'll need to add checked bags. Okay, I said. Because that's what I say. My throat felt dry. She sent me screenshots of flights she liked, 10 messages in 2 minutes. Then, without asking, she added, and it would be nice if you put us on aisle seats. Dad hates the window. I stayed late at the office and booked everything. 4 round trips, 2 checked bags each, seat selection fees. I watched the total climb, felt like I was watching a thermometer in July. I hit purchase. My card buzzed. Approved. 2 days later, Mom texted. We want to switch the hotel. The other one looks dated. A link appeared. Boutique. Central. Pricey. Did you already book? I asked. Not yet, she lied. I could hear it. But you're so fast. Can you do 2 suites? We'll settle later. I called the property because their site glitched. A woman with a calm voice walked me through the deposit policy. Non-refundable. 2 suites, 14 nights total between cities. We can do 20% down to secure, she said. I did the math. Then I did it again. I gave her my card. Mia chimed in that night. Can we add a rooftop dinner in Paris? It's €180 per person, but the views are insane. Also, Mom really wants a private car from the airport in London. It's tacky to take the tube with luggage. I typed erased. Typed erased. I'll see what I can do. Then came rail passes, museum passes, a cooking class in Rome, a boat tour on the Seine. Because memories matter more than money. My inbox turned into a folder of confirmations. My calendar became a to-do list for other people's fun. By the end of the second week, the spreadsheet on my laptop read like this. Flights, $7,896.40 hotel deposits, plus 1 prepaid night. $12,720 transfers and trains. $3,085.70 activities and tickets. $2,984.10 dining prepayments and deposits. $1,930 luggage and random fees. $612.80 subtotal. $29,228. Then the little things piled on. New luggage. Plug adapters. Matching shirts for photos I wouldn't be in. Tips paid in advance because it's polite. Final tally, before we even stepped into an airport, $35,014. That number sat in my chest like a stone. 3 times I brought up reimbursement. Mom, can you send your share so I can zero out my card? She laughed lightly. You're so dramatic. We'll settle after. Don't nickel and dime family. Mia, can you send me for the transfer and the rail pass? She sent back a string of heart emojis and a voice note. You'll get it back. Relax. You make more than me. Dad just said, talk to your mother. I stopped sleeping. At 2:13 a.m., I'd be staring at the ceiling, doing math. Interest rates. Due dates. If I paid the statement in full, I'd empty the savings I'd been building for an emergency that always wore a different mask. If I didn't, I'd be paying for their photos with my future. 2 weeks before departure, we had a family meeting at their place. Mom was in full planning mode, the kind where the oven's on, but nothing's cooking. Okay, she said, clicking her pen. Packing lists, medication, outfits. Alex, print everyone's boarding passes the night before. What about mine? I asked. She waved a hand. Of course, yours too. Mia held up 2 dresses. Which one looks more European? The one you can walk in, I said. No one laughed. Also, Mom added, I think Dad and I should sit together for his back. You can sit with Mia. Mia shook her head. I'm not sitting in the middle. I'll take the middle, I said. I always take the middle. Mom gave me a fond look, like I was a well-trained dog. That's our Alex. The week of the trip, Mom called me 3 times in one day. Can you check if the hotel will do early check-in? We'll be tired. Can you add breakfast? We don't want to wander around hangry. Double-check the weather. I don't want to pack the wrong shoes. Every favor came wrapped as a compliment. You're so good at this. You're the only one we trust. You make it easy for us. Easy for us was hard on me. The night before the flight, I printed the boarding passes and placed them neatly in a folder. Mine wasn't there. I refreshed the airline page 3 times, then 5. My reservation number worked. My name was in the system, but the seat showed unassigned. The printer spit out a blank page. I stared at it for a long minute, then slid it into the folder anyway. At 10:07 a.m., I texted Mom. Can you confirm you got my e-ticket? System looks weird. Seen. No reply. At 1:24 a.m., Mia sent a reel of some influencer twirling in Paris. We're going to be those girls, she wrote. I locked my phone and tried to sleep. I dreamed I was running in an airport, and my legs wouldn't move, like I was underwater. Morning came fast and heavy. My suitcase handle jammed. My shoes squeaked. I drove everyone to the airport, because, of course, I did. In the car, Mom hummed with a kind of nervous joy. Passport, she sang. Passport, we all chanted back. At the terminal curb, Mom kissed my cheek. You're such a good son, she said. Then, almost under her breath, don't make a scene today. A scene? I thought. Who said anything about a scene? Inside the terminal, everything was loud. Rollers against tile, boarding calls, babies crying. I carried 2 suitcases and a tote while Mom and Mia angled for selfies near the big departures board. Dad trailed behind, holding the passports like a deck of cards. At the check-in kiosks, Mom took the folder from me. She printed her tag, then Dad's, then Mia's. Smiles. Easy. She handed me the folder. Yours, she said, already turning away. I scanned my code. Error. I tried again. Error. Excuse me, I said to the agent nearby. It won't pull up my boarding pass. She typed for a long time. It looks like this reservation doesn't have a ticket number attached. She said it was reserved, but never ticketed. What does that mean? I asked, though I already knew. It means no ticket was issued. You can still buy one, she said, polite and practiced, but it'll be today's fare. She rotated the screen toward me. The number made my stomach drop. Mom was suddenly beside me, hand on my arm, voice too bright. Oh, silly. I must have forgotten to press confirm when I was reviewing. Go home. We can sort it out later. We'll see you in 3 weeks. I stared at her. Go home. She widened her eyes, like I was the one being strange. Don't start. Don't ruin this. We'll send you photos. You said you booked us all together, I said. My voice sounded calm, even to me, like it was coming from someone else. Mia drifted over, glossy lips, restless fingers. Alex, please. We can't miss this flight. Dad avoided my eyes. I felt the world narrow to a point. The days of planning. The nights of math. The way my mother lowered her voice when she wanted to make me small. The way Mia called me weird about money. The way I kept saying sure, like a promise I never made. I breathed in, out, in again. No, I said. Mom blinked. What? No, I repeated. I'm not going home. And I'm also not buying another ticket today. She tightened her jaw. Don't be dramatic. This isn't about drama, I said. And it isn't about revenge. This is about closure. Mia crossed her arms. What does that even mean? It means I'm done being the contingency plan, I said. I booked this entire trip. I paid for almost everything. You promised to settle later. Later keeps not coming. People moved around us like we were rocks in a river. The agent pretended not to hear. Mom leaned in close, low and sharp. If you love this family, you will not make a scene at the airport. I met her eyes. If you loved me, you wouldn't have asked me to. Her face changed fast, a flicker of something like fear. Then she smoothed it away. Fine, she said. We'll talk when we're back. Actually, I said, calm, almost gentle, we'll talk later today. Not here. Dad shuffled the passports. Boarding, he muttered. Mia touched my shoulder. Alex, we'll bring you something from Paris. Bring me a receipt, I said before I could stop myself. They went through security. I watched them go until they were swallowed by the line and the brightness beyond. It didn't feel like courage. It felt like standing still for the first time in years. I sat on a bench near a fake ficus and opened my banking app. I looked at the numbers, the dates, the reservations. I called the hotel in Paris and asked to remove my card from incidentals. But you are the primary guest, the clerk said. I won't be checking in, I replied. My family will handle their own charges. I called the car service and changed the billing to pay to driver. I emailed the rooftop restaurant to release our deposit and told them to add the balance to the table on arrival. I didn't cancel their trip. I just stopped letting it run through me. Then I called a lawyer. Not to sue, to disentangle. I want to draft a simple agreement, I said. Repayment and a letter to end financial entanglements. No threats, just terms, he said. Come by at 3. Outside, the sky was cold and sharp. I drove home with the radio off. My phone lit up twice. Aunt Carol, bon voyage, and Mia, boarding, with 3 airplane emojis. I put the phone face down. In my apartment, I made eggs and threw them away because I wasn't hungry. I showered for too long. I put on a clean shirt, like I was going to a job interview with my own life. At 3, I sat across from Daniel Price, a man with hair too neat and a calm voice, in his neat office. He listened. He didn't interrupt. He wrote things down. What do you want? He asked when I finished. I want peace, I said. And I want my money back. He nodded. We can ask for both. For 3 weeks, my phone became a museum of missed calls. 41 from Mom, 18 from Dad, 27 from Mia. The messages started cheerful, slid into angry, then circled back to guilt. Send me the confirmation number for the Rome transfer. Mom demanded in one. Why did the hotel say your card isn't on file for incidentals? She snapped in another. Alex, Mia whispered in a late-night voice note from a crowded bathroom. Can you please add breakfast to the London hotel? We're starving, and the hostess said, whatever. Call me. I didn't answer. Every time I wanted to. I just replayed that moment at the airport. Go home. My chest tightened, like a door had finally closed and latched. I wasn't petty. I didn't cancel their bookings. I didn't ruin anything. They still went to museums and posed by fountains and posted selfies with captions like, family is everything. In one video, I counted 4 shopping bags swinging from Mom's arm like trophies. In another, Mia twirled in a red dress on the Spanish steps, just like she said she would. On day 6, Mom sent a group text. We had to pay €420 at check-in for a deposit. You didn't tell us. I typed back. That's what happens when adults travel. Then I deleted it, unsent, and put my phone in a drawer. Instead, I built a new routine. I went to work and didn't stay late just to avoid going home. I cooked real food. I slept badly at first, then better. I ran by the river most evenings and watched the water move. It sounds simple, but it felt like learning how to breathe again without someone's hand on my chest. Daniel Price, my lawyer, sent me drafts, a repayment agreement, an itemized list with dates and amounts, a letter titled Notice of Financial Boundaries. It wasn't threatening, it was clear. The first page read, as of today, Alex will not fund, front, or guarantee any expenses for family members. Any shared costs require written agreement and equal deposits before purchase. Outstanding balance owed to Alex, $35,014. He asked, do you want to add interest? No, I said, just repayment. 6 months. Do you want to add a clause about contact? I said, no more pop-ins, no group ambushes. He nodded. We'll keep it simple. I sent him screenshots of the payments. He organized them into a clean, brutal timeline that made even me blink. April 5th, flights, $7,896.40. April 7th, hotel deposits, $4,800. April 9th, rail passes, $1,242.30. April 10th, airport transfer, $310. April 12th, activities Paris, $986.10. April 14th, activities Rome, $1,058. April 15th, luggage, seats, fees, $612.80. April 16th, hotel prepaid night, $7,920. April 17th, luggage from Mia, $749. April 18th, adapters/extras, $240.30. April 19th, rooftop deposit, $200. Looks like you ran a tour company, he said, glancing up. I ran a family, I said, badly. We mailed the packet to your parents' house, he said, so it would be waiting when they returned. Not a gotcha, Alex. A boundary. The silence of their trip was heavy in a different way. No one asked how I was. No one wondered if I was okay being home alone with the mess of it. A few friends reached out. You good, they wrote. I took a breath and told the truth. Getting there. On day 13, Aunt Carol called and left a long voicemail. Honey, they said you abandoned them. I don't know the details, but you know how your mother gets. Her voice softened. I'm proud of you for doing what you need to do. I cried in the car after listening, quick and ugly, like my face didn't know how. By the time their return day came, I wasn't afraid of them anymore. I was afraid of myself, of caving, of smoothing it over, of letting the next later stack on top of me until I couldn't stand. Daniel offered to join me to deliver the letter in person. In case they try to talk around it, he said. Sometimes people respect paperwork more than words. I laughed once. They respect anything more than my words. I'll be quiet, he said. You'll speak. I'll just stand there. We agreed to meet at my parents' house the afternoon they were due home. Not an ambush. Just to make sure the message didn't get lost in a swirl of, we're tired, and why are you doing this to us? I got there early and stood on the sidewalk with a coffee that went cold. Daniel arrived in a gray suit that looked like it belonged to someone older. You okay? He asked. I'm steady, I said. Steady is good. At 3:14 p.m., their Uber pulled up. The trunk popped. Suitcases thumped onto the curb. Mom stepped out first in oversized sunglasses. Mia behind her, hair a little messy, a scarf tied in a way that screamed Paris. Dad came last, moving slow. Mom saw me and stopped. Her face did that shuttered thing, the one that hides the first thought and replaces it with the second. What are you doing here? She asked, voice flat. Daniel stepped up beside me. He didn't smile. He just stood there, a quiet, solid presence. Mom went pale. Who is that? Mia asked, blinking between us. I swallowed. My voice came out even. This is Daniel Price. He's my attorney. Dad's keys jingled in his hand. You brought a lawyer? I brought a witness, I said. And a notary. If you want to avoid this, you can. There's a payment plan and a boundary letter inside. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to be clear. Mom's mouth opened, then closed. You can't be serious. I am, I said. I won't argue in the driveway. We can go inside, sign, and you can rest. Or you can refuse, and I'll send it certified tomorrow. Either way, this conversation is happening. Mia laughed once, high and brittle. God, Alex, you make everything so formal. Formality is what people ask for when they don't listen, Daniel said, voice calm, but not unkind. We went inside. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and dust. Suitcases lined the hall like a blockade. Mom didn't offer water. She didn't tell me I looked thin. She just sat at the dining table like it was a negotiation. Daniel slid the packet across to her. This is an accounting of the expenses Alex fronted for the trip, along with proposed repayment terms. No interest. 6 months. There's also a letter about boundaries going forward. Boundaries? Mom repeated, as if tasting the word. From you to us? From me? I said. For me. So I stopped bleeding money and time into a hole. Dad glanced at the totals and whistled low. We can't pay this today. No one asked you to, I said. There's a schedule. Mia pushed the pages like they might bite. Why are you doing this? Because you told me to go home, I said. The room went very still. Because you made plans without me, while using my money to fund them. Because I have a right to stop being your credit card and calendar. Mom's face flushed. We made a mistake at the airport. You don't punish family for mistakes. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm correcting me. She looked at Daniel. You're enjoying this, aren't you? He blinked. Ma'am, this is not enjoyable. Something in her deflated, like a sail losing wind. She stared at the signature lines, then at me. If we sign this, are you done? Is this what you need? I need peace, I said. And I need you to stop asking me to disappear for your convenience. Mia softened, just a fraction. We didn't think you'd mind. I minded, I said. I just stopped saying it out loud. Dad tapped the table twice. We'll pay, he said quietly. Mom shot him a look, but didn't speak. Daniel placed a small notary stamp beside the signature page. Whenever you're ready. Mom signed first, with a heavy hand. Dad next, pen scratching. Mia scribbled like she was late for class. The stamp clicked down. Official. And boring. I exhaled for the first time in days. When it was done, Mom still wouldn't look at me. You ruined our welcome home, she said. You ruined my goodbye, I said. I'm just catching up. Daniel gathered the pages and stood. We'll leave you to rest, he said. Alex, I'll call you tomorrow. Outside, the sky had shifted brighter, somehow. I didn't feel like celebrating. I just felt like someone who had been holding a heavy box for years, and finally put it down. My phone buzzed when I got in the car. One message from an unknown number. You handled that with class. It read, Aunt Carol. I stared at the screen and let the quiet fill the car. Then I drove home. Over the next week, the calls changed. Less rage, more logistics. What day is the first payment? Can we break it into smaller amounts? Do we send to your checking? I answered like a customer service agent. Short, clear, no apologies. Other things changed, too. Mom stopped dropping by unannounced. Mia stopped sending me links to things I should buy her. Dad started texting me photos of the cat sleeping in the sun, with captions like, she misses you. He's never been good with words. But I know what he meant. None of it was magic. None of it was clean. But it was quieter. And quiet felt like healing for the first time, instead of punishment. This whole experience, it made me rethink everything about family. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to draw a hard line with people you love? Tell me what you think. I really want to know.